This is NDTV and you are watching NDTV Prime.
Salarpuria Sattva, Trust, It's What We Build, presents the Realty Debate with Manisha Natarajan.
31st October this year was the deadline for all states to notify RERA rules in their respective states and start the process of setting up a real estate regulator. As we speak, only Uttar Pradesh and Gujarat have notified RERA rules. Karnataka has released draft rules which are out for public discussion, and Maharashtra's RERA is at an advanced stage. Now, from the centre, we've received RERA rules for 5 union territories, and these are the smaller ones. Surprisingly, Delhi is still out. Today on the Realty Debate, we are decoding various RERA rules which have come out so far to answer 2 questions. Do they protect future home buyers, and do they offer justice to those stuck in delayed projects across the country? Joining me today for the discussion, Vineet Relia, Managing Director, Sare Homes; Cyrus Engineer, Senior VP Sales and Marketing, Shapoorji Pallonji Real Estate; Gulam Zia, Executive Director, Advisory, Retail and Hospitality, Knight Frank; Abhay Upadhyay, National Convener, Fight for RERA; M.L. Lahoti, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court of India. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. I think I'm going to start with some of the provisions which have come out from the Ministry of Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation for the 5 union territories, which is Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu, and Lakshadweep and Chandigarh. For those of you who missed the news piece, this was really almost, as I will of course go across and ask the panelists, probably a perfect RERA. Protecting buyers who are stuck, the rule says that it will be retrospectively effective, applying to ongoing projects without completion certificate. All developers will have to register their real estate projects with the regulator. For delays, developers will have to pay compensation to the allottees with an interest rate. And this is the first time that an interest rate has been specified. SBI's highest marginal cost of lending rate plus 2%, making it, if I take today's rate, about 11%. This is the same rate that developers will have to charge buyers in case you as a buyer have delayed on an EMI payment. Now, remember, this was the biggest disconnect. Developers would charge 17 to 18%, sometimes even 21%, but pay you not more than 3 to 4%, or sometimes, if you're lucky, 5%. Now, what has this almost perfect, or I could even say perfect RERA actually said for protecting future buyers? That the builders will have to declare the size of the apartment based on carpet area. Even if it was sold earlier on any other basis, developers will have to practice full disclosure, uploading information, project type, size, etc., even financial details of the promoter. So that is the one that we believe is really one of the excellent ones. What has happened later? Gujarat and UP are a bit diluted. Abhay, I'm going to come to you first. It almost seemed, we were rejoicing. You were really happy, said we won that battle of getting, projects where buyers are stuck also included in RERA. But these have come out only for 5 union territories, which do not even make up. I don't have the numbers, nobody could give me, but ballpark figure, not more than 1 to 2% of India's property market in value. But the rest of the places, you can see that it's already beginning to get diluted.
Well, actually, we are really very disappointed, and all our enthusiasm has gone now, seeing the rules notified by Gujarat and also UP. And as you know, we have really worked hard with the Union Ministry for Housing and Poverty Alleviation. And we were of the opinion, thought that this rule will become the model rules for all the states. Other than that, the provision under Section 84 was provided so that the states can incorporate whatever special provision they needed. But we were not expecting that the entire rules will be changed and entire act will be tempered with. And whatever the way UP has changed the definition of ongoing project, the way Gujarat has not even notified what will be the registration process, what will be revocation process, compounding clause, what will be the process for ongoing projects. So everything is missing in even Gujarat. And UP has, in fact, verbatim copied the draft rules which was uploaded by Ministry on 24th June. And all the deficiencies which were there in the draft rules of the Housing Ministry, that is there. Beside that, they have further diluted it, and they have given new definition of the ongoing projects. They have even compounding clause they have changed. They have made the amount payable up to 10%. So everything is not as per our expectation, and it is very clear that, probably builders' lobbies are now, which they failed to get it done from the central, now they are trying to do backroom manipulation and come out with, something which is toothless and absolutely will not be useful for the home buyers of the ongoing projects.
Okay, so let me just tell our viewers what has happened with UP's RERA rules which have come out. Now, UP, as Abhay pointed out, has defined ongoing projects with 4 exemptions, which will actually end up allowing a large number of ongoing projects to get out of RERA's shadow. And this is where that big disconnect is. Now, these include projects where services have been handed over to the local authority for maintenance. Also, common facilities have been handed over to the residents' welfare associations. Whether the projects, the building itself or the apartments themselves have been completed to the satisfaction of the buyer, that's not it. If common facilities have been handed over to RWA, then it's out of the purview of RERA. Also, where all development works have been completed and sale lease deeds of 60% of the apartment and houses and plots has been executed is out of RERA. Now, this is the one which I find the most worrying. Finally, where applications have been filed with the authority for issue of completion certificates. Now, these are the ones which have been kept out for the term of ongoing projects, which means it's a huge dilution. Again, as Abhay pointed out, while the centre has fixed the rate of interest payable at SBI's highest marginal cost of lending plus 2%, UP government has really not fixed a rate of interest for what would be the penalty which is going to be paid. Mr. Lahoti, would you agree that yes, there's a dilution?
It is no question of dilution. It is extremely very dilution case. Because if you see the core object of what the central government thought in March 2016 and what is now happening in state like Haryana or a state like UP is really disappointing. Haryana has not, to my knowledge, yet notified.
Absolutely not. And they're not in a hurry to do it.
And if, Manisha, most of the NCR projects are in these 2 states, UP and Haryana. Where are the projects at all in the union territories? I don't think there is any recognizable face at all in union territories. And Haryana not announcing even by 31st of October is a serious issue and very frustrating to the flat buyers. And the way UP had diluted, say, the common areas. Now, that was one of the core questions which we are fighting both in Supreme Court and before the National Consumer Forum. Because if from the project areas, certain areas are being for commercial purposes taken out by the builder or by the real estate agency and used for commercial or profit purposes, that very concept of the project, very concept by which the dream was sold to the buyer get extinguished. So according
you're
to
concerned?
Me, yes, it is a serious concern, and especially though the main core of the Parliamentary Act was retrospectivity. Here, as you had rightly said, the kind of the project Gujarat had excluded by saying that only 1st November 2016 will be the cut-off date. Ongoing project will be only after 1st November. UP saying that these are the areas where the project are to be excluded.
Absolutely.
Where was the provision of exclusion?
There was no
never
provision.
Ever,
all right,
never
okay.
Provision.
Fair enough. The only thing which one of my, regular watchers of the show on Twitter and a real estate expert, he mentioned when we tweeted that, UP and Gujarat have actually watered down RERA and very disappointing. So he said, show me a disappointed home buyer in Gujarat. Now, that could be a nice statement saying that Gujarat really doesn't have disgruntled home buyers. Or are they? Abhay, are they disgruntled home buyers in Gujarat?
I have been approached by from Ahmedabad, and he is sent me a full detail which I can mail you later.
Okay, so Gujarat also has disgruntled home buyers. All right, let me get the developer perspective, a gentleman who does a lot of good work in UP. So, Vineet Relia, I know that, the reason the developers who are happy to come for a RERA discussion are clearly the ones who are not going to suffer. Having said that, this whole worry that buyers who are stuck with developers who haven't delivered in the long time, the UP RERA rules do not protect him. Would you agree with us?
So I think I won't agree that the legislation has been watered down, but yes, definitely the draft which had come out from the central ministry had some very stringent and what I would call probably one-sided approach towards the consumer. I think what is being now propagated with UP government and Karnataka is more a balanced regulation, and it's more practical in terms of execution. Also, there's a very important point because this subject is a state government subject. So it is the state government who has to understand the practicality of this and have the wherewithal to really implement and execute it in a manner that the consumers finally end up getting the houses they have paid for. So the objective cannot be just to put the developers into penal actions. The objective has to be that there is a rule set for the industry and everybody has to comply with it, and the consumers are not suffering like in many projects they've been suffering for years.
My worry here is that what happens to those lakhs of buyers stuck in and were hoping for RERA redemption when it came to JP and Unitech projects, and they're just not going to get any redemption here at all.
So I think if you're talking about examples like JP and Unitech, though I don't want to name the companies, but if a project is not completed and if you don't have, the law says that you should have offered possession to 60% of the people. So if you've offered possession to 60% of the people and they've occupied, then I think there is no need to really go out and retrospectively impanel under RERA. The project has to be out of RERA.
60% completed, it will not come under RERA. Right, so a lot of they could take a township as a whole and say we've completed 60% of the township, but structures could be ready, finishing wouldn't happen. So
I think the law says that 60% of the units have to be occupied, and if that's happened, that means most of the services are in order. So I don't think they should come under RERA. See, we have to understand, possession handing over is also a very time-taking process. Like for example, we've offered possession, but it's taking years for the people to come in and really take over possession. It's like a very long drawn process because you have all kinds of customers. Some have priorities, some want to come in end of the year, some are purely investors.
Okay, that's a point of view. Okay, let's bring in Ghulam here. Ghulam, would you want to weigh both sides of the argument and say that maybe it's not as stringent as what the centre came out for the union territories, though those 5 union territories don't have much of real estate to talk about, but this watering down is still enough protection for the buyers. Which side of the debate would you stand on?
Well, I am concerned from the buyer's perspective that the dilution will not really go down well for the industry, for the buyers for sure. It may actually serve the purpose of a few developers who are currently concerned because of the misdemeanors that they have gone through. So that remains aside. But I would love to understand the reasons behind why these dilutions have been brought about in these states. What is the rationale behind it? I'm sure we have to debate and then finalize that. Otherwise, the bigger concern is that if this is what we are starting with, if these dilutions are actually setting or paving the way for the future of the RERA in this country, that is a big concern. If every state start diluting it one way or the other, and that concern is something which is actually worrying me much more than anything else.
Okay. Mrs. Cyrus, engineer, come in here. I mean, as a developer representing a company which is probably starting out with a fresh slate, however, your company has expressed in the past unhappiness over the fact that, you've not brought in the municipal or local bodies, urban local bodies which have to give approvals. What is your stand on this dilution by states on RERA rules?
Well, Manisha, I think it's still fairly early days for us to really react. Yes, I endorse the view of this panel that is a little disappointing.
If we don't react, believe me, it's going to get watered down much more. The reason why we have to react is because if we don't make enough of a noise, believe me, sir, this process, which is just a small aspect of it in 2 acts, will probably become much worse.
I completely endorse the view of this panel, Manisha. In fact, we as all good developers are really gunning for RERA to have the teeth and fangs to ensure that consumers are protected appropriately. Okay. So it's still early. Let's see how other states react to it. I think I speak on behalf of many of my grade A developers here that there are a lot of statutes which already have been in place with us for the longest of times, and they really won't change even due to the watering down of various statutes, etc. in various state governments. I think as good developers, we definitely conform to what is in the better interests of the industry, of the consumer, and to see the industry growing overall. So be it as may will in terms of state legislations, I think good developers will still conform to best-in-class practices across the board.
Okay. So, Abhay, before I move on to other questions, my big question to you here is that in terms of Haryana and other states, have you heard anything at all? Because what we've heard from Rajiv Gauba is that, look, by November, end of November, all states have to come out with their RERA rules. We're not getting any sense. Our reporters are not getting any sense from some of the states that we spoke about, West Bengal, or whether it's Haryana or it's Tamil Nadu. Are you getting any sense at all that the November end deadline will be met?
As far as Karnataka, we have a meeting day after tomorrow with the authorities there, the housing ministry there, and they have called a meeting of all the stakeholders, including our Fight for RERA representative. And in fact, I have also been invited to be there. I am trying my level best to attend. Now, this is the news from the Karnataka side. As far as Bengal is concerned, we have not yet heard anything. We have written to the Chief Secretary also for a meeting on this. We are yet to get any reply on that. And any other state, as far as Haryana is concerned, I have heard twice or thrice the Chief Minister speaking about that there will be regulatory authority very soon. But other than that, I have not heard anything on that.
Okay.
But Manisha, before we go to any other topic, I wish to reply to Mr. Relia's that 60% people have deed has been conveyanced in their favor. That means everything is okay. You see, this is a very simple thing that I have booked a house 10 years back. 100 people booked the house. In 2016, say after 10 years, 60% of the project is complete. Only the houses are complete. Now I am paying EMI. I am paying rent. I have to take care of my family. What option does I have if I don't go and take whatever in condition my house is ready? Whether common areas are ready or not, whether my parks, facilities, amenities are ready or not, what option do I have? And let us take this example that in this real estate industry, because the realtor, the builder from whom the buyer goes and buys it, they are so big that people just don't expect justice, and that is the reason not even 5% of the people prefer to go legal. And the cost also is very high, and these people are all middle class. They hardly get time to fight with the builders and go to the courts.
I agree.
So this justification that 60% people have taken, this is not holding water. Okay. And now, Mansha, one more minute. Come to the other point clause which they have excluded. A person, builder, just applying. Can you imagine? There is no clause. When can I apply? I can apply on the very first day of launching of my project. It is for the authority to say that your project is not complete and I will not give you completion certificate. So just by applying, making an application, and you will exclude that project out of the RERA, that is not making sense to me at all. So this is nothing. And as one of the panelists rightly mentioned, what is the rationale? Now, the clue which I am getting for this dilution is very simple. The rationale is that they want to somehow please the real estate industry.
Oh,
now,
UP
they always
elections
talk
are coming up,
they will not
UP
get
elections are coming. How can they not keep the UP? How? And I mean, really, actually, it's a catch-22 situation for the developers as well. They are the first watering hole for all political parties, and until that's going to change, and especially in UP. If that's not going to change, I actually feel very sorry for developers as well. If you go and meet them, it's not an easy job. We know when the Noida West issue had to be resolved, the amount of money which they had to pay to the ruling party. Now, we don't have anything in written, all of that, but these things were discussed off camera by developers. So they're also in a catch-22 situation here. It is not an easy state to do business in.
Manisha, but for that, sorry for interrupting you, but for that, why you have to make consumers your scapegoat?
Absolutely.
That
somebody has to
industry
become the scapegoat here, and we are saying that the consumer is the scapegoat here. Okay, Vineet.
So that is why we needed this RERA protection.
All right, Vineet, answer that. That's a question which I do agree with Abhay, that just because you've applied for completion certificate does not necessarily mean that the quality of the product is what you promised. 60% of the project delivered after 10 years delay shouldn't allow you to go scot-free either. And these are genuine problems, and they're hugely big problems in the parts of the country that we're talking about, Uttar Pradesh and Noida and Greater Noida and Ghaziabad.
So if we are talking about a particular case, we are talking about a case where it's been 10 years, the developer has not offered possession, and after 10 years he says, okay guys, this is the project, this is the product, whatever state it is, either you take it or leave it. Now in that case, what would you do in the original version? If you're saying RERA has been watered down, even in the original version, you would just go complain to regulator. So even now, you can not take possession. So there's no need for people to take possession and go back to the regulator. So, ultimately, I don't think their perspective has changed at all. You can even now go to the regulator and then, fight with the developer. Developer will then go to courts. So it's just going to lead to a litigation there.
Mr. Lahoti, we've discussed that yes, it's got diluted and this dilution is not good, at least for the buyers who are stuck in projects and really doesn't offer any relief. If I were to look at the numbers, now let's bring that up. Total number of projects delayed in major cities of India are 4,479 and we've taken 20-month delay and above. So 20-month delay and above. Number of units in these projects are over 8.6 lakh units are delayed. Average delays between 25 to 30 months. In fact, the numbers that we are talking about are 25 months, so more than 2 years. And people are still paying the EMI. Middle class, upper middle class don't know where to go. NCR has over 600 delayed projects. And you have Haryana, which is saying no sight of RERA. UP, which is a watered down RERA. Okay. Mr. Lahoti, already we have rules which are watered down. And number two, now it's going to take a long time to set up the authorities, find the right officers. So it's not an easy task.
We all know, Manisha, take and compare it with the Competition Act. Competition Act came in 2002, but up to 2009, the Competition Act was not made applicable on the real estate. The reason was the same. The builders' lobby wanted to suspend the applicability of the Competition Act. The same justification or the same reasons are given now for diluting, because the central had passed the law, and that law was broadly a perfect law. But now this modus operandi of diluting the rules makes it totally ineffective.
Okay.
And ultimately, I think we have to go and challenge it either in the High Courts or the Supreme Court as to why this dilution had taken place, and the intent and purpose of the very act passed by the Parliament is suffering.
Okay, fair enough. So we have both sides of the story. Good developers like Sare Homes and Shapurji Palanji. Anyway, I don't think they have customers who are going to go and take them to court. They're very happy with the kind of delivery or the professionalism. It's about stuck buyers. And that's the problem. This was meant to actually give relief to those 8.6. I'm not sure the entire 8.6 lakhs are, Ghulam, the problem is that there would only be a couple of lakhs of people who are badly stuck, right? 8.6 is 25 to 30 months. In India, buyers have become so used to getting their projects at least a year to 3 years late. They don't even go to court till they lose all hope. So sum it all up for us and tell us, how will RERA change? Watered down, not watered down? What are you expecting? How are you expecting the industry to change going forward?
Well, this is obviously, a lot has been spoken about it, that this is the need of the hour. Even the developers, at least in their private dialogues and discussions, also recognize that with this coming in, their funding, etc., will improve, because overall industry reliability and the conviction of fund houses in the industry will also improve. So overall, it's something good for all of us. It's only in the interim where those who have already done a lot of wrong things are worried that they could actually be behind bars or would be caught for paying penalties, etc., which is happening in any case, and many of these developers are actually finding their rightful place behind bars. So that is exactly where the worry is right now. And if I look at the forecast, or if I look at how the trends are emerging, my worry is that it's going to take a long time. Like today, whatever has been happening in 1 or 2 states that we are looking at, and what Mr. Lahoti was talking about, if it has to once again fall in some court or the other, then that court actually giving their decision whether it has to be brought back to the original of what the Parliament has passed, etc. And then it comes back to administrative wrangles, etc. How do you get the right guys to fill it up? And then it will come to even the developers. They will need time to actually feed all that data into the systems. They will also be given 1 or 2 or 3 deadlines to the way it is right now happening, from 31st October to November or whatever else. Similar deadlines will come even for developers to come clean on their information, etc. To me, the biggest worry is the time. So I guess we have actually raised our slogans a bit early. We have raised our toast a bit early, saying that the consumer is the king. I guess it's going to be a long time for consumer to actually be the king.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Engineer, final question to you is, we've talked about retrospective buying, I mean retrospective laws and the buyers who are stuck. But going forward, right, do you think that there are enough provisions to at least for all kinds of developers to follow the norms, rules and protect future buyers? Do you think that it's strong enough?
We'll need to wait to see the kind of regulation emerge in various other states as well. I appreciate in the Union Territories right now it's a little watered down, a little diluted. But yes, I mean, and I'll go back to your previous question. I think from an overall industry perspective, the advent of RERA has seen a lot of consumer awakening of their rights, of their legalities. We've seen that across geographies. We've seen a lot more awareness. Customers ask the right kind of questions. They are insisting on delivery, on timely delivery, quality parameters, etc. So it's a move in the right direction. I think I definitely confirm Ghulam's point that in terms of time factors, we've got to be a little more patient to see the actual full punch of RERA come through. It's a question of time. I think in my recognition, it should possibly be applicable to both retrospective projects as well as ongoing projects as well. Clearly, this act is to ensure the comfort of potential buyers, existing buyers, etc. And I don't see any reason why it should get diluted.
Fair enough. I think you've summed it up very well for us. So I think the message, gentlemen, we are getting is that, look, you've got to be more patient. Our fight and our battle will continue, that, you know, most states don't water it down. In fact, I believe UP and Gujarat are both reconsidering the watered down version of RERA because there's been so much of protest by Fight for RERA team. Gentlemen, keep the good work going. It will take time. So if you're in a hurry as a buyer, stuck in a project badly, then probably consumer court is a better option for you than waiting for RERA to come. Clearly not 3 to 6 months away. By the time it all settles down, the dust settles down and it all gets cleared up here, it's definitely a year plus. Okay, I'm going to thank everybody here. Gentlemen, pleasure having you. It's always the most interesting topic to do. Finally, the word from me is, boss, you needed to restore this confidence and bring back good health to that residential real estate market in India. There's no other way out. There is a trust crisis and we need to fix that. Thanks very much for joining me. On the other side, there are other changes which are happening in the cyclical downswing of real estate. When we come back, we'll analyze how the market and the buyer behavior changes are forcing the industry to change its business methods. Stay with us.